Hey everyone, so last list of the year, it's going to be my top 10 movies of the year. This is going to be a very subjective list, and of course I didn't get the chance to see everything that came out of the theaters this year. There's a couple movies like Parasite or 1917 I really wanted to get the chance to see before I made this list, but I'm from Canada and they're only showing it in Toronto until mid-January. So I live a little further away from Toronto, but I promise I'm gonna go see that movie, give you guys a review for it when I can. But yeah, if there's anything that I missed, just mention it in the comments and I'll give you a reason why I didn't make this list, whether it be it just wasn't in my top 10 favorites or I just didn't get a chance to see it. But yeah, this is a pretty subjective list. It's just kind of my favorite movies of the year. Just basically like what stuck with me the most out of the entire year. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing movies this year and I can't wait to get into this list. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my choice for number 10 is How to Train Your Dragon 3. This movie came out a little earlier in the year and I'm a huge fan of the How to Train Your Dragon series. I read the books, I love the movie so much, and I did really enjoy this movie. My favorite one of the series is still the second one, but this movie just had amazing visuals and it was such a great conclusion to Hiccup and Toothless journey together, and it had a really sweet and heartwarming scene at the end of the movie that just kind of made it for me. This movie just did so many things right. It was so fun to watch. It was really funny. The action was great. It had amazing villains and just absolutely amazing character moments, and it really did justice to the story and the characters from start to finish of this movie and start to finish from this series, and I love it. If you haven't seen this movie or the series How to Train Your Dragon yet, do go watch it. They're unbelievable. They're easily some of the best animated movies ever made. My choice for number 9 is Chapter 2 of It. I did really enjoy this movie. I read the books. I was really skeptical about part 2, at least just because I wasn't a huge fan of the second part of the book. I thought this movie did a really good job fleshing out the characters and like presenting it in a little more logical manner than the books, and just to the ending was definitely quite a lot better. It made a lot more sense to the characters. I did actually enjoy how they took on Pennywise in this movie. It has amazing character moments. Bill Hader does a phenomenal job in this movie. He's hilarious. He's a great actor in this movie. Everyone really nailed their characters. All the new actors that they brought in to play the older versions of these young children did an amazing job just basically capturing the characters and capturing the spirits of young to old. They did a really good job bringing back some characters too to fit into this movie. Bill Skarsgård did an awesome job as Pennywise in this movie. It was pretty brutal too. There was some gruesome kills in this movie and it was fun to watch for the most part. This movie definitely wasn't as scary as the first one. The first one only got me a couple times where it actually kind of spooked me a little bit. I didn't jump out of my seats or kind of get nervous at any point watching this movie. I think too, just because I knew a little bit what was coming, but this is a really good movie and definitely up there kind of as one of the better horror movies I've seen in a long time. My choice for number 8 is Shazam. I thought this movie was hilarious and just a love letter to the fans of the character. The kids in this movie did an awesome job. Zachary Levi was just absolutely perfect as Shazam. You could tell it's one of those moments where kind of after seeing him in the role, you can't see anyone better. I thought Dr. Savannah was an amazing villain in this movie. Really heartwarming too. I liked the personal storyline that the movie took to itself, and it didn't take itself too seriously. It has an amazing scene near the end of the movie, just kind of without giving away too much. You get a scene of the Shazam family, which just I think it's one of the best moments in the DC universe so far. And yeah, if you haven't checked out this movie yet, I think it's a must watch for any DC fan, and just yeah, amazing job that they did with this movie, and I love it so much. My choice for number 7 is Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie is just about everything that I wanted from a live-action Spider-Man movie in a long time. I thought it was just so perfect. Tom Holland nailed the role. It had amazing action and such good character moments in it too. Mysterio was done flawlessly. Jake Gyllenhaal did just such a great job in the movie. But yeah, it was a great way to conclude phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just like I said, so much of what I wanted to see from Tom Holland's Spider-Man finally got put in this movie, where instead of causing damage, he was actually like stopping buildings from falling. He was helping people out. He was taking into account his actions a lot more in this movie, and that's what I really wanted. We still didn't get a lot of him being secretive with his identity, which really annoyed me, but we get a really cool moment in the end credits of this scene, which basically that comes back to haunt him, and I can't wait to see how that ties into how it affects the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how it's really going to play into the next Spider-Man movie. I'm really looking forward to see where they take it from here, because this was a great stepping stone into the next chapter of Spider-Man in the MCU. Dr. Sleep is my choice for number 6. I thought this movie was just so flawless. Ian McGregor did an amazing job playing Danny, and this movie was just the greatest follow-up to The Shining. I thought it did a really good job just kind of showing how Danny adjusted to his powers and how, one, he was able to mask it, and just as the movie progresses, how he's able to get his powers back and just take full control, and you see how powerful he is. The True Knot in this movie was really terrifying. This movie is really brutal, really dark and disturbing. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. There's some really cruel moments in the movie, and I thought they did an amazing job showing just how cruel our world is. But yeah, if you've seen The Shining and you haven't seen this movie, please go see it. This movie isn't making enough money that it really deserves. It was truly a masterclass of a film. You could tell everyone involved in this movie cared about it so much, and they basically just wrote a love letter to The Shining, to Stephen King, and to Stanley Kubrick. It was just, I love this movie so much. My choice for number 5 is a Netflix original movie, which is actually an AMC original series. It was El Camino, which is kind of like a sequel movie to Breaking Bad. It finally explains and tells us what happened to Jesse Pinkman after the events of Breaking Bad, and I thought it just did an amazing job showing how, even though Jesse got out of the life at the end of Breaking Bad, how truly, like, how far he still needed to go, and it was really personal. Everything that he learned in Breaking Bad just basically got put into use here, and it just showed how strong his character was, and it was really awesome to see my favorite character from the series just continue to grow and just make the life for himself that he wanted. And just, yeah, so many amazing moments in this movie. It's tense, it's funny, it has some amazing shootouts. It was really inventive, and yeah, Vince Gilligan did an amazing job with this movie. Aaron Paul nailed it as Jesse once again. It's, yeah, if you haven't seen this movie yet, please check it out. It is awesome. My choice for number 4 is Jojo Rabbit. So this movie was directed by Taika Waititi. He also plays Hitler in this movie. But yeah, this was just an amazing satire movie. Anti-hate satire is what it marks itself as. And yeah, you definitely see a lot of that in this movie. It was so funny and just so real at times, where every single joke, every single little line had an underlying dark truth to it. It's just how modern some of the ideas of Nazism is and hate is, and it just did a really good job portraying how cruel World War II was, and just how nationalistic ways of thinking can be really dangerous, and just ways of hate can be really dangerous to the youth. And it was just such a heartwarming movie near the end of the movie too, and it's just, like I said, there's so much. Even though it's pretty simple to catch on to, I just thought it had a great message to it, and I love this movie. Please check it out. Scarlett Johansson was unbelievable in this movie, and Taika did an amazing job, and it was just really cool too to see how, when Jojo started to learn a little bit more about Nazism in Germany, seeing his version of Hitler evolve from just kind of like his best pal to the Hitler we all know from the history books. It was just a really smartly written and greatly paced movie. My choice for number 3 is The Irishman, directed and written by Martin Scorsese. This is a Netflix original movie too. It's definitely one of the most definitive gangster movies, and one of the things that I really liked about it is it didn't glorify just gangsters at all. All of the action in this movie was so quick and so brutal, and then it also just showed to how lonely and isolating this life is, and how the people involved in the mobs just kind of, they lose everyone and become lonely at the end of all of it if they make it to the end. I thought it was a really good kind of what if the Irishman actually was the one who killed Jimmy Hoffa, and it just did a really good job setting everything up. There's one scene in this movie that's about a 20-minute long build up to just an absolutely amazing, almost kind of shocking scene, which I think is definitely going to go down as one of the most talked about Scorsese moments in any of his films come future. And yeah, it's a very long movie, 3.5 hours. So if you have the time, I definitely recommend checking this movie out. It's going to be getting a lot of Oscar praise, and I'm excited to see how this movie ages and progresses, because it was very, very well done, and I loved it. Even though it's 3.5 hours long and it feels like it drags every now and then, I still had a lot of fun watching this movie. It kept me entertained and wanting to watch it the entire way through. My choice for number 2 is Avengers Endgame. This was just an absolute spectacle and love letter to the fans of Marvel. It was an amazing conclusion to Phase 3. There's so many big, epic action moments and just character moments that I've been waiting to see that was taken from the comics and put into this movie for a long time. I was bouncing in my seats. I tend to jump a little bit when I get excited, and this movie had me excited the whole 3 hours through. It is just an epic saga that if you're watched all the movies, it was so cool seeing them jump from movie to movie to movie, and unbelievable. I had so much fun watching this movie, and it was just one of the reasons why I go to the movies, especially for big blockbusters like this, because it was just great atmosphere in the theater, and just, like I said, just a love letter to any fan of Marvel, any fan of the comics, any fan of the MCU. And if you haven't checked out this movie, what are you doing? You gotta go see it. But yeah, unbelievable. I can watch this movie over and over again and never get tired of it. So I just have a couple honorable mentions now. These were movies that I still thought were brilliant and I had a lot of fun watching. I think people should still check them out, but they just didn't quite make my top 10. One of them was John Wick 3. Keanu Reeves really brought it in this movie. I really enjoyed it. The action is just gruesome and brutal, but so much fun to watch. They did an amazing job with the stunts. The one thing that kind of turned me off about this movie and why it's not in my top 10, same thing with John Wick 2, was I just thought the ending was a little unbelievable and just kind of hits you out of nowhere. It doesn't really feel like the movie's ended, but I can't wait to see what they do with John Wick 4, even though like that was kind of one of my problems with the movie. But yeah, unbelievable, a lot of fun to watch. And my next honorable mention was Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is just your big monster action brawl, and it was so much fun to see all these classic Godzilla characters, Toho characters come back. So you got Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and it just made for some absolutely epic, insane fights. There's one amazing scene with Rodan in this movie when it's basically Rodan's entrance, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time for that scene, and definitely for like a lot of this movie. I thought it did an amazing job handling all these big monster creatures, and also too bringing the human elements into it, which is I kind of find where some Godzilla movies fail, where they're not able to capture the human spirit of the movie. But I thought this movie, with the monsters, the brawls, the humans and everything, did an amazing job just blending everything together, and it was a lot of fun to watch, and I think you should all check this movie out. It was so much fun, and I can't wait for Godzilla vs. King Kong. Number 1 is Joker. This movie was just an absolute treat to watch. It was something so different and so mesmerizing to watch. It really got me at some points where I was so excited and shocked that, oh my goodness, they're going down this route. But Joaquin Phoenix did such an amazing job with his character. And the one thing too I loved about this movie was just this message about mental health and well-being, and just how overlooked in society it truly is, and just how dangerous that can be when people don't get the help that they need. And did an amazing job just kind of showing the movement that can spark and the dangerous dialogues that can be taken from it. But I think my most favorite thing about this is he didn't realize what he was doing was wrong, just that he was being noticed for the first time and he was doing something right. And that's why I think too, just isolation and mental health is so important. And this movie just did an amazing job showing that, especially on the big pharma side of the movie too. I mean, this movie caused so much controversy, but I thought like it really shocked a lot of people about its true message. And I don't think its message is talked about too much, but yeah, the cinematography, the music, the acting, just basically how the whole story progresses was so amazing and just masterclass in my opinion. I just can't get enough of this movie, and I can't wait to watch it over and over and over again when it comes out on Blu-ray. Yeah, guys, those were my top 10 favorite movies of the year. I can't wait for 2020 to see what it has in store, and also too some of the movies that I didn't get to see this year. I can't wait to watch them and hopefully add them to my list. That'd be really cool to see where these movies I didn't get the chance to see end up. But as always, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment. I'll get back to you guys. But yeah, let me know your favorite movie of the year. I'm interested to see kind of what everyone else is kind of thinking. Yeah, awesome, guys.